I'm about to share with you the biggest money secret no one has ever told you. Everything you've been told about money is absolutely useless if you don't understand this first. By the end of the video, your perception of money will completely change and you will look at money from a whole different perspective. And if you're going to put this knowledge in practice, your life will fundamentally change. You might need to rewatch this video a few times or at least take notes because your life will change to before and after watching this video. It doesn't really matter what you're trying to do. Start a business, make money with a side hustle, or just be disciplined. You are going to fail if you're not going to practice this first. This is exactly what has been keeping you poor all this time. When you fix this and you learn this, becoming a millionaire for you will become a matter of time. It all started with this guy in 1958 when he started studying brains. I mean, if you think about it, for most of history, we didn't really know much about our brains because we didn't really have the tools to study our brains. But after this guy's studies, we found out that our brains mainly consist of neurotransmitters, which are responsible for our feelings. You're happy, depressed, sad, angry, all because of these neurotransmitters. Like, for example, serotonin is the neuron that is responsible for your happiness. So if your serotonin levels are high, that means you're happy. So if you ever feel depressed, it's because your serotonin levels have dropped. So your psychiatrist will most likely prescribe you pills that are going to boost your serotonin. But the most interesting neurotransmitter is dopamine. This is the neuron that is responsible for your motivation. You know those moments when you watch a motivational video on YouTube and you feel inspired, you feel motivated, you want to go there and work and make millions of dollars? That's because your dopamine has spiked. Other times when you feel lazy, when you start procrastinating, this is because your dopamine levels have dropped. Imagine for a moment how your life will fundamentally change if you can actually manipulate your motivational system. You could be working 24/7, you can stay focused and do focused work without watching all of these motivational videos. And you could do it for hours and hours and hours. So you can actually easily prevent yourself from buying crap you don't need. You can easily focus on building a business. Now, becoming a millionaire for you will be a matter of time when you master how to control your motivational system. If I'm gonna ask you, how did you spend the last 5 years? You probably wasted a lot of time on useless crap. You probably wasted a lot of money buying things you don't need. Now imagine for a moment if you have actually taken advantage of every second of every single minute of the 5 last year, how your life would have been today. And that's exactly why you need to master how to control your dopamine. Imagine you will never be lazy, you will never procrastinate in the next 2, 3, or 5 years. What kind of a business you can build, what kind of side hustle you can build. Now, these dopamine receptors in our brains are so powerful that when researchers did an experiment and shut down the dopamine receptors on rats to see the reaction, guess what happened? The rats became so lazy that they did not even eat the food that was right in front of them and starved to death. That's how powerful your dopamine receptors are. This discovery should have fundamentally just changed the course of history. It should have turned humans into superpowers. But guess what happens? Corporations quickly jumped in and exploited this. They realized that people often buy with their feelings and then justify it with their logic. So they started doing experiments to see what spikes your dopamine the most and found out that sugar is that thing that spikes your dopamine the most, and started adding sugar into everything you consume. Open your fridge and you will find out that there isn't a single thing in your fridge that doesn't contain lots of sugar. Even things such as spaghetti, bread, and salads literally are loaded with sugar. The logic behind it is very simple. When you consume that bread that's loaded with sugar, it is going to spike your dopamine. Your brain is going to crave for that dopamine again. So you're going to go back to the store searching for that bread. Think about how genius this plan is. Corporations have an exact tool that they can use in order to turn us into loyal customers. Your dopamine is like a gum that stretches every time it spikes, but then it will just come back to its previous level. However, Just like a gum, when it's stretched too often and too wide, it will just increase to a new baseline. So anything that doesn't spike your dopamine above this new baseline isn't going to motivate you. Guess what companies has done? They started adding more and more sugar into their products to keep your brain experiencing that dopamine boost so that you come back to the store searching for their products. Health organizations try to warn us because this is unhealthy, but companies got creative and they started adding sugar under different names, which is why today we have like 56 different names for sugar. But guess what? This was just the beginning. Because when social media came out, they didn't waste time. They realized how your brain works. They started testing features to find out which features are going to boost your dopamine the most, and made these features a fundamental part of their platforms. Which is why Instagram is no longer just a habit that you sometimes just check your Instagram. They made Instagram into something that your brain craves for to check every few minutes. While you're getting addicted to Instagram, Instagram is making billions of dollars showing you ads. Then we had something called TikTok. They cracked a strategy to create short form content that is going to spike your dopamine even higher. Which is why when you're scrolling these shorts or TikToks or Reels, you don't really remember what you're watching. Can you name the last 5 shorts you have watched? Absolutely not. Can you name the shorts you watched yesterday? Absolutely not. This is literally useless content. But because it spikes your dopamine so high, your brain craves for you to keep scrolling, which is how you turn into a social media addict. So here's your normal, natural level of dopamine. Let's say working or getting a job done is going to boost it to 130. Working out is going to increase it to 150. But social media is going to increase it to a new baseline of 200. So any activity that doesn't rises your dopamine above 200 isn't going to simply motivate you. Just like the rats whose dopamine receptors were turned off and they were not even motivated to eat and starve to death. So you start spending more time on social media. But after some time, spending so much time on Instagram is no longer going to boost your dopamine because it has already risen to a new level. But your brain is craving for that dopamine boost again. So you are going to look for an activity that is going to boost your dopamine to a new level, which is when you are going to follow half-naked Insta models on Instagram. Now, Instagram perfectly knows that half-naked women are going to boost your dopamine, which is why Instagram purposely started recommending you these girls. However, after some time, your dopamine is going to rise to a new level, and these half-naked women on Instagram are no longer going to boost your dopamine. So you start looking on internet to find something that is going to boost your dopamine even higher. Because you're an addict at this point, your brain is craving for that dopamine boost, which is how you stumble on porn, which spikes your dopamine even higher. This is exactly how people become porn addicts. I mean, there is nothing fundamentally wrong with women doing some random acts of love with men on video, but your dopamine receptors cannot differentiate between a video and a reality, so they simply react in the same way. At this point, your motivation system is broken, your dopamine system is broken. So even if you're given a step-by-step plan to make $1 million within the next year, you're not going to make it. Why? Because it is simply not going to raise your dopamine above your new baseline. So you have simply set your life for mediocrity. You wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is that you pick up your phone and you check your Instagram. Now, after spending 5 or 10 minutes on Instagram, your dopamine spikes. So you feel lazy to get out of bed. So you spend like, I don't know, half an hour or an hour just lying on your bed trying to get up. But once you do that and you have your fully loaded sugary breakfast, you drive to work. Now, your dopamine has spiked again. Once you come to the office, you're going to meet your female colleagues who are wearing miniskirts. And when you look at them, you start fantasizing about being with them. That raises your dopamine again. So when you sit down to work or try to refuse a temptation to buy a crop that you don't need or work on a business, your dopamine is on a new baseline. You're simply not motivated. You simply cannot motivate yourself to do that. I mean, you can push yourself to do it once or twice, but that's not sustainable. At some point, you are going to feel lazy. At some point, you're going to procrastinate. The Matrix have got you. They have turned you into a perfect consumer where you're just motivated to work enough to survive. That's how they get you into the paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. Now, I challenge you right now to focus on one thing for 5 minutes. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a car, a house, a tech, anything. I can tell you with 100% certainty that you cannot even do it for a few minutes. Something is going to come up in the back of your head and divert your attention. That's how broken your dopamine system is. For thousands of years, our dopamine receptors were our most important tools because they helped us to hunt for food or run away from wild animals or make love with women to reproduce. But corporations exploited this system and have turned us into slaves to our desires in order to turn us into perfect consumers. Your life right now is as if you are in a self-driving car that you have no control over, and you have no idea where this car is taking you to. Even if I'm gonna come and give you $1 million and give you a plan on how to turn this $1 million into $100 million within the next 2 years, I can tell you with 100% certainty that you are going to fail. And lottery winners are a perfect example. Most of the lottery winners literally go bankrupt in a few years after winning the prize. Or rich kids. Now, rich kids grow up in a family where they have a lot of, let's say, money in order to experience stuff. So by the time they're teenagers, their dopamine systems are already broken. So there is nothing that motivates them. So they try to find something that is gonna boost their dopamine to a new level, which is how they get into drugs. And when you take a drug, you want to take it first once and then it boosts your dopamine to some level. But after some time, you get used to that because your dopamine baseline has just risen to a new baseline and you want to take more of that drug. And after some time, when you have taken enough of that drug, it no longer boosts your dopamine to a new level, which is why you start taking a more powerful drug. And that's how people turn into addicts. No matter how many motivational videos you watch, how many motivational books you read, you simply cannot make it. Just like the guy who is stuck in a self-driving car that he has no control over. So here's what I suggest you to do. Sit in the driver's seat, take control of the steering wheel, and drive the car to the destination you want. Stop being a slave to your desires, where all you do is that spend your time and your money to make these corporations richer. Some people's dopamine are so broken that a beautiful girl can come in miniskirt and take full control of their lives. They're literally ready to do anything, chase her for as long as possible, do anything she asks just to have her. If an attractive girl can come into your life and take full control of your life, just imagine for a moment how weak you are. And then you want to tell me that I want to make millions of dollars and get rich. Good luck. I'm not saying this to put you down, but I want you to be honest with yourself. The problem with our brains is that they are designed in such a way that they always, for some reason, justify our actions. I mean, if you right now go and talk to a robber or a prostitute, she is going to justify her actions, just like you are justifying your actions instead of being honest with yourself. There are people on the internet who claim that if you stop using social media, if you stop eating sugar for 7 to 10 days, you are going to take a dopamine detox and fix your dopamine system. But this is false. This is not going to help you. And if you don't believe me, go and try it out and you will find that for yourself. You will see a quick drop in your dopamine baseline, but it will just quickly come back. Even if you entirely eliminate social media from your life and you literally never eat sugar again, what's going to happen is that when you drive to work, you are going to come across half-naked women in miniskirts. And when you look at them, you will start fantasizing about being with them. that will boost your dopamine. When you are done with your dopamine detox, you will pick up your phone and get back to your sugary diet, and your dopamine will just rise back to its previous baseline. You will have an illusion that you did something, but you haven't really fixed the underlying problem. That's why there is just one solution, and it's to fundamentally change your lifestyle. But to do that, you have to fundamentally change your perspective on life. If you're going to decide right now that you want to start a business, make a lot of money, make your life better, make the life of the people around you better, and be someone, then you are going to decide that you will not be a slave to your desires. You're not gonna follow your desires and make these corporations richer at the expense of your life. So if you see a half-naked woman in the streets, you're not gonna look at her and fantasize about being with her, but rather, you will look away. You will minimize your social media usage to the bare minimum, and your phone won't be the first thing you pick up when you wake up. You will entirely eliminate sugar from your diet, and your only source of sugar are going to be fruits and vegetables, which are the natural sources. Your goal is going to be to keep your dopamine line at its natural level. The first 30 days are going to be brutally hard. I mean, it's gonna feel like torture. But after that, you will slowly get used to it. However, keep in mind that you need at least 6 months up to a year in order to completely fix your dopamine and get used to that lifestyle. That's when you will feel motivated every single day to work. That's when you will easily stay focused, refuse the temptation to buy crap that you don't need, control yourself, save money, and kind of think clearly and see the opportunities that are right under your nose. If you're not going to make the change first in your perspective, I can tell you with 100% certainty that you are going to give up and you will fail. I know that this is not like a quick tip to become a millionaire, but this is the reality. This is the truth. This is simply how things work. If you appreciate this video, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one.